Hey, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. How are you? My name is Attorney Charles Zavala, your immigration lawyer, and we're here part of the Zavala Texas Law. We're located in beautiful Houston, Texas, but we can help you no matter where you are in the USA or even if you are abroad. Normally, we do videos about immigration, headlines, things that are going on that people have questions about, and I try to explain it in an easy format for people to digest. So if you like our videos or if you're interested in what's going on, feel free to like, subscribe, do any of that stuff, and we'll keep on making videos kind of addressing issues people have. So today is December, let's see, I'm sorry, what's the date today? December 10th, 2024. So about a month ago, Donald Trump won to be president-elect. So we've been answering a lot of questions regarding what's going to be happening with Trump's new immigration policy and all that stuff. So we did a video about that, about what I think is going to happen based off of news, based off of interviews that I'm reading, things along those lines. But one question that I get often that I think is really important to address is, what is ICE, or Immigration's Customs Enforcement? What is CBP, Customs and Border Patrol, right? What is DHS, Department of Homeland Security? So today's video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain what all this is, how it affects immigration, but most importantly, we're going to talk about, once we've got all these agencies described, who is Tom Homan, right? This is the guy who's going to be in charge of ICE, and a lot of people have either positive things to say or negative things to him to say. That's everybody's opinion. But first, I'm going to lay out the framework of what's going on so that people can, kind of understand what's going on. So let's go back to the start. So originally, anything that had to do with immigration was under this umbrella called Immigrations and Naturalization Services, right? INS. Immigration and Naturalization Services, and this used to be under the Department of Justice, right? But what happened is in 2001, 9/11 happened, and because of that, that was a huge hit on the USA, right? Because it had to deal with terrorism, it had to deal with people from other countries. Everyone was kind of pointing the finger at each other and saying, hey, had we known your information, we could have prevented this, blah, blah, blah. So what happened is that kind of shook up the whole legal framework about immigration and, Homeland Security. So what happened is Congress passed the Homeland Security Act of 2002. And what really this did is this reshuffled a lot of agencies under the USA umbrella. So what happens is this: whenever a president is elected, he has his cabinet, which he chooses who are going to lead each kind of governmental branch. It's not just one person who decides all that stuff. That would just be too hard. So what happened is there was this agency called the Immigration and Naturalization Service, and they were the ones who were in charge of immigration. They were the ones who were in charge of kind of anything that had to do with foreigners coming into the USA. But what happened is 9/11 happened. This Homeland Security Act of 2002 came out, and what it did is it created the Department of Homeland Security. Prior to that, it did not exist. So now we have this new government agency called Department of Homeland Security. But what they did is they reshuffled and they put a lot of those agencies now under the umbrella of the Department of Homeland Security. In fact, it was, I think, over 20 agencies were now moved under the umbrella of the Department of Homeland Security, okay? And, what happened is this gives the Department of Homeland Security a lot of power, right? Because now they are the top agency that's in charge of all this down. So what this created, is, hold on, I'm trying to find out some information for you. So now that there's this kind of reshuffle, there's essentially three main agencies, all under the Department of Homeland Security umbrella, that are going to deal with immigration. So the first one is USCIS. It stands for U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. This is the agency that's in charge with anything that has to do with immigration benefits. If you're applying for green cards, you're applying for your citizenship, asylum, work permits. This is the agency that you're going to handle that's mostly dealing with anything that's inside the USA, right? So that's USCIS. So for example, let's pretend little Mr. Giraffe wants to become a citizen. He's going to have to apply to USCIS because they are the ones who handle that. And remember, USCIS is under Department of Homeland Security. Another agency that's not part of USCIS is ICE, and this stands for Immigration and Customs Enforcement. This is the one that Tom Homan's going to be leading or directing, as he did in the past under the Trump administration and also under the Obama administration. So these are the people who are in charge with immigration enforcement. Think of them as the police of immigration. So they're the ones who detain people. They're the ones who are in charge of removing people, smuggling, trafficking, anything along those lines. They're the ones who are in charge of enforcing the immigration rules, okay? So that's very important to know. ICE, I-C-E, Immigration Customs Enforcement. And then there's also something called the CBP, and this is another agency. So we've spoken about USCIS, ICE, and the CBP. So EBP stands for Customs and Border Protection. This is the agency that's going to handle anything that's on a port of entry or has to do with border security. So our southern border, our northern border. Also, anytime if you fly international and you come into the USA, there's always a line that says U.S. citizens this way, everyone else this way. So what that is we're going through Customs and Border Patrol. We have to show that we are U.S. citizens, and people who are not U.S. citizens now have to show that they have some sort of status, right? So those are the three agencies that essentially were created post 9/11 under the Department of Homeland Security umbrella. And, does this help? Does this not? I mean, everyone's going to have their own opinion, but it did give a lot of power to the Department of Homeland Security because that's the top umbrella. And they're kind of, whatever policies they want to do will trickle down. Okay, so that's important to know that those are the three main agencies that you're going to be dealing with whenever it kind of has to do with immigration. But now let's moving forward to who is this Tom Homan guy, right? So back to ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, they're going to have their own director. They're going to have their own person who kind of leads that. They still have to listen to the top dogs in charge, right? Because they're all pushing down the policies, but that's who he's going to, Trump has said who's going to lead it, Tom Homan. So I'm going to read you a little bit about his resume. And then I'll explain to you, what he can, what he can't do, what he says he's going to do, etc., etc. So it looks like he was a police officer. And I'm just reading this based off of information I found. He joined the Border Patrol back in 1984. He was appointed the director of ICE, Immigration Customs Enforcement, with Donald Trump. He was known for his zero tolerance policy, which a lot of people didn't think was, humane. So back in the time, you would hear that a lot of families would come over and the families would get separated. That wasn't a good PR rep for them. So that was one of the problems that he had, and a lot of people why said he was not a good fit. They also were opposed to what's called sanctuary cities. I don't know if you guys ever heard of what a sanctuary city is, but let's say hypothetically I live in Charlottesville, right? I'm just making this up. So there would be some cities that would deem themselves sanctuary cities where they said, look, we are not going to help ICE in removal of people, right? Because these are our citizens, or not our citizens, but these are people from our communities, and we're not going to help ICE get rid of that. So that created a lot of problem because ICE is saying, look, we're doing our job, they're breaking the rule, and then the city is saying, well, we're not going to help you in getting them out. So we're going to see what's going to happen with that. But now that Trump won again, he has assigned Tom Homan to be the director of ICE again. Remember, ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement. And he has a very strict stance on what he's going to do. They're claiming that there's going to be mass deportations and all that stuff. And if you've seen our previous videos, we kind of talk about what's happening. One of the things that they say they're going to do is they're going to go after people who already have order of removals or order of deportations. And if you check out our previous video, we explain what that is. But long story short, if someone comes to the USA and they have either overstayed their visa or came over here undocumented, aka illegal, or without documentation, and they go in front of a judge, what's going to happen is they're going to have their what's called due process. They're going to have the chance to fight their immigration case. But at the end of that, if the judge says, no, you don't win your case, or I'm sorry, they're going to give you what's called an order of removal, which is a piece of paper where ultimately it says you did not win your case and you have to go back to your country. The problem with that is once they give you that paper, it's not like they arrest you or they deport you. They essentially let you go back home and they say that, or they assume that you will voluntarily go back to your country. And the problem with that is that's not true, right? I mean, there's a lot of people who say, well, unless they're going to come get me, I'm going to keep on living my life. So that's what Tom Homan is saying that he's going to go after, because there are hundreds of thousands of people who already have deportation orders that are still here. So that's one of the things that Tom Homan has been arguing, that he is going to, attack those people, because he's essentially saying, look, those are the easiest people to get because they've already gone through due process and they lost. So that's what we're going to go for. So I am curious to see what's going to happen with ICE. So ICE, remember, Immigrations and Customs Enforcement. This is the one that's normally going to, whenever you're hearing the news and there's like some bad rap going on or something bad going on with immigration, it's usually ICE, because that's the police, or not the military branch by no means, but the enforcement branch of immigration. So when someone has a deportation order or something along those lines, or if they're transferring someone from criminal jail to immigration jail, it's usually ICE who's in charge of that. You may also hear there's something called an ICE hold, and we'll make a video about this again, where it's ultimately, if somebody has a criminal charge on them and they're in jail, criminal jail, normally you can pay a bond to get them out, right? But if ICE puts what's called a hold on them, and you'll look it up whenever I have my clients who are arrested, it'll say ICE hold. That means immigration will come get them if they bond out, so that they can take them over to immigration court. Okay, so I hope this was kind of a good little video to understand what's going on. So it used to be different agencies would handle immigration, but now after 9/11, everything went under the Department of Homeland Security, because that was created. So your three main groups are USCIS, ICE, Immigration Customs Enforcement, and CBP, Customs and Border Patrol. So next time, if you ever travel outside the USA and you come back in, notice whenever you go through customs, you're going to notice that's going to be a Customs and Border Patrol, or it's going to be a DHS agent. Okay, so I hope this information was informative. We'll see what's going to happen. Feel free to leave your comments. Also, guys, if you are going to leave comments, please, I understand and I respect everybody's opinion, but let's not be hateful, right? Everyone walks their own path in life. Everybody has their own backstory. So let's make the comments. I'm okay with answering questions, but let's not, point fingers at people, name calling, or saying someone doesn't belong to be here, because that's not the reason why we create this platform. And if people act like that, I'm gonna block you, just because I don't think that's not what I'm here for, to create a place of negativity. But other than that, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys have any questions regarding immigration, if you have anything where you're trying to get your citizenship, anything with immigration, feel free to give us a call. The phone number is the number here on the screen. Every single appointment, and it doesn't matter where you are, every single appointment is going to be on the phone with me personally. Be careful, there's people who are trying to act like our business. It's not. This is our only phone number. Our only website is ZavalaTexasLaw.com, and every appointment is going to be with me personally over the phone. Okay? So I hope you all have a beautiful day. I hope you found this informative. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. And if it's a question that I see that comes up a lot, we will do videos about it addressing that. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Charles Zavala, your immigration lawyer. Thank you, and I hope you have a beautiful day.